Welcome to another episode of the Cybersecurity Mentors Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about networking and how to use networking to land a job in cybersecurity, either your first job or your next job. Right, Steve?
Awesome. Yes. But before then, we want to give a huge thank you and a shout out to everybody who's been reaching out to us and giving us their feedback and telling us how great the last episode was about cybersecurity boot camps, all the new members to our Discord, and just everybody who's been reaching out. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We're happy to be here. We're happy to help. Just keep reaching out to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so networking, and the reason this came up as a topic, it gets discussed a lot, but I think people maybe they still struggle with why it's so important and how to really do it tactically. And one of the things I've been doing is just looking at job descriptions out there. So I pulled 1,000 job descriptions that had at least security analyst in the name of the job. There's a way you can do the API and scrape all that data. So I
Yeah.
started going through all that data and looking at certificates and experience and everything, qualifications that they're looking for all kinds of levels of security
Yeah.
analysts. And I tried to filter it to entry level ish, maybe not completely entry level, but mostly entry level, which is tough to do, by the way, even when you have all that data. Um, and one of the things that stood out to me is, yeah, it is hard if I'm a new person and I'm trying to get into security. The qualifications that they're looking for are kind of ridiculous most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the certificates are almost a grab bag. They just kind of grab some certificates and throw them out there. Oh, you need to have Security Plus. You need to have the Google cert. You need to have whatever. CISSP. They love throwing CISSP out there just because it's the
Yeah.
popular one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the way I look at those, and the way I've always kind of looked at job descriptions, number one, that's their wish list, and number two, nobody likes. If you're in our position, putting job descriptions together is tough. It sucks. We don't
Yes.
like it. Nobody's actually good at it, really. So you try to, get some help. Chat GPT, help me write this job
Yeah.
description.
Yeah.
And then really they're just like, oh, people should know what this is and know what we're looking for, right? And that's on us to do a better job, really to try to do that. But you're balancing all your other stuff, and you're like, well, here's the title of it, here's the heading, description, and then what else do we need? What else do we need? Okay, throw these things in here, right? So the way I think about these is like, I don't really care what the job description, all the details of the specifics. Like the way I've always approached jobs is like, okay, do I meet most of these things? Yes. Okay, great. I'm going to apply. I'm going to apply, right? It does not hurt to apply. Now, you want to craft your resume and things to the job, and we'll talk about that later in a different episode. But really, the thing that has gotten me opportunities and jobs is the networking. Networking. It is, and you'll hear other people talk about this, and it really is the biggest thing that can level you up and help you open up more opportunities. And just a quick story for me, like I went from help desk to desktop support to some system administration to a job as a system administrator slash network administrator to jack of all trades, all IT things, right? But I wanted to get into security. And at that time, and as you can almost approach it nowadays, right? Look at jobs as there are no entry level jobs. That's fine. I didn't have it. There were no entry level jobs when I got in. And think about it in that perspective, because then it's more about what are the qualifications I need, but who do I know that could help me get in the door? Who do I
Yeah.
know that could help me open up those opportunities? So fortunately, I had a friend of mine that I knew that we had actually studied the CISSP together. Just got the big old book and sat down at my living room table, and we went through it and went in person to take the test, and it was all bubble in, and it was a terrible test, right? I hated it, but we passed it. But we had done that together because we were interested in security. This is 2005 when I got it the first time. That's another story for the second time. But I got it the first time. So he knew I was interested in security. I'd been in IT. And so they were building a security team at the university. They said, hey, he reached out to me. He said, hey, John, why don't you come meet these other two guys and see if they like you and what, and maybe, this is a good opportunity for you to come in. So that's what happened. I showed up. I had not really been doing security. I had been doing some security, but I had been doing all the IT things. But really, it was him giving them kudos or giving me credibility and saying, here's John. He's solid. He's getting after it. He's a good guy. He's not crazy, which is very important, by the way, to have that vet of this person's not a crazy person.
Yeah.
You should take a chance on him, right? So
Yep.
how do you that's what you need. You need somebody in your corner. You need somebody that has built a relationship with to help you then bridge the gap to, oh, there's a position. Now I know somebody that maybe knows that person or knows that position or the hiring manager that could help me bridge the gap and put my resume at least higher in the list versus randomly every position I can find. I'm applying, right? So more around the back end of really getting your foot in the door versus trying to just shotgun it and mass produce these resumes that you're sending out to everybody. So what do you
Yeah.
think, Steve?
No. No. I completely agree. I mean, a lot of just the cybersecurity field, I feel like thrives on trust and shared knowledge. So many opportunities that are out there are not advertised, right? They're not put on LinkedIn or Indeed or whatever, but they may come through connections and recommendations, right? So if I know, like, hey, I need to grow my cloud security team, I may have a conversation with you about it and say, yeah, man, cloud is growing in my business. We're going to be looking for some cloud engineers, blah blah, whatever. Even before a position gets posted, I'm having a conversation with you about it. And if there is somebody in your circle that that has been building a relationship with you, building trust with you, somebody that you would recommend, they're going to come to mind, and you're going to say, hey, well, I actually know this guy, or girl, and I trust them. They've shown they're really into it. They got a proven track record. Like, can I shoot their information over to you? And most of the time, they're going to be like, oh, absolutely. I trust John. I like
Mm-hmm.
John. I trust John. I have lunch with John. If he's telling me that he recommends this person, then I'm definitely going to put them at the top of the pile. So that's where the role of networking in cybersecurity is so important. And I think people just don't give it enough attention like they should. And I mean, your story that you just shared with us, it's another great example.
Yeah, and 100% because I've helped more people get jobs in cybersecurity by saying, "Hey, this person is cool. They are getting after it, and you need to be getting after it. You can't
Mm-hmm.
just be, I'm not gonna recommend you. That's my
Right,
reputation, right?
right,
But
right,
they're getting after it. They are cool. They're solid, and you should take a look at them." And I don't know how many people I've helped that way, and it's awesome because that's all I'm not doing a lot. It's still you that has to sell you, but at least
right.
I'm helping you get that opportunity.
Yeah, get that foot in the door. And I mean, trust me, like if you're trying to go after a job at some big corporation, big company that, there's a lot of interest in from others in cybersecurity, I mean, for a single job posting, there could be up to 200, 300 applicants. Trust
Mm-hmm.
me. And your resume, if you don't know somebody at the top that can help put your resume at the top of the list, or in the top 10 or top 5, whatever it may be, I mean, your resume is going to have to be rock solid, and you're going to have to be probably even overqualified for that position to get an interview.
Yeah,
I mean,
and,
that's unfortunately that's the reality.
and the other thing is that if you know somebody at a company that you are interested in applying, now you should always be thinking, I'm interviewing the company. I'm interviewing the people. I'm interviewing the coach. I want to know if this is a good place for me to work. And that actually puts you in a more confident position as you're looking for a job.
Yeah.
If you are actually evaluating them as they are evaluating you, but you can use that networking once you've made a connection. Hey man, tell me about what's your job like?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. I was just going to add to that, and you know, companies, they have an identity, right? You may think you want to work for that company. You may think that company is top of the top and that is your goal. Like, oh my God, I want to work for, I don't know, I'm going to use Tesla as an example. Oh, I want to work for Tesla. I want to rub elbows with Elon Musk. That's what I want to do. That's cool. But if you can find somebody that actually works at Tesla and pick their brain about what's work life balance like, what's management, how are the benefits, like does leadership actually listen to what you have to say? Are they supporting you in your efforts to keep Tesla secure? I mean, that will tell you so much about a company that you may think you want to work there, but after you actually hear the nitty gritty, the skeletons in the closet, you might be like, oh, sorry, Elon, maybe next time.
Right.
Maybe after you fix some stuff up, maybe I'll
Yeah.
come join your company.
And you may be desperate because you're like, I just got to get in. I just got to get my foot to get experience. And I get it. It's
Yeah,
tough because you got to have experience to get experience. But it could be the worst job ever. It could be the worst place. It could ruin your life. I don't, it could be the worst case scenario. So
yeah,
my recommendation is always just evaluate the company, the culture, the people, right? And the more
yeah.
you can do that through people you network with, that's the way. Yeah.
No, I agree, and I think the point you just made me think of something else. So, yeah, I think when somebody is starting, right, probably the mentality is, I just need to get my foot in the door. I don't care what company it is. I don't care what position it is. If it's entry level, I just need to get in so I can just have something to put on my resume, and then I can start my career.
Hmm.
Yes and no. It is okay to be picky. And you may be like, Steve, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I am like busting my butt here applying to 300 jobs, and I would be so ecstatic and happy if I just get one offer or an interview or whatever. And trust me, I get where you're coming from. I
Hmm.
absolutely get where you're coming from. I've been there, but there are a lot of opportunities out there. You just have to look for them. And the topic of this episode is about around networking, which is a huge part in finding all of these opportunities, like we mentioned earlier, that are probably not even listed on LinkedIn or those job websites. And it's really just comes down to word of mouth, connections, and building those relationships.
Yep. No, that's a great point because some jobs may not even be officially posted, and you would never have seen it, and you maybe never have obviously not been thought of, but oh, you've made a connection, and they're like, oh yeah, I forgot Steve. He's a great guy. We've been talking, and he's been catching up, and he's super eager, and he's super on top of things. Hey, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
send me your resume over. Right? That can happen. That happens
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But definitely have your resume checked by us first. We'll give you we'll
Right.
give you the thumbs up. Like, hey
Yeah.
man, this
Yeah.
is this
Yeah.
is solid. This is strong.
Exactly.
Don't
Exactly.
blow the first opportunity you get with a crappy resume.
Yep. Yep. All right. So let's get into it. So how do you network? How do you actually network? What are the things? So what, Steve? What would you start with?
So I think there's different types of networking, right? Um, Nowadays, online networking is a big deal with all the social medias, Discord, LinkedIn, you name it. I think also there's your in-person networking where that's you meeting somebody face to face, talking to them, at a conference or at a lecture or whatever it may be. And then there may be some other ways of networking as well. But for me personally, networking has played a big part. So networking for me is you going out there, right? You putting yourself out there and uh, being purposeful about this, meeting people in the area that you have an interest in. So for this is cybersecurity. So it's me going out of my way, leaving my comfort zone, um, and putting myself in situations and locations where I will have to speak to others and get to meet others in the cybersecurity community.
Right. And there's different groups. B-Sides is one of the ones that comes to mind immediately because there's a ton of B-Sides conferences all over the United States. There might be some in Canada as well, might be some worldwide. I'm not really sure. But if you just look up cybersecurity meetups, then you'll probably find something. I remember this has been forever ago when I was trying to learn Linux and get into Linux, Unix stuff, and I found somehow I think it was Meetup.com some
Yeah.
Linux meetup group, and man, it was deep. I showed up, and all these other fellas and ladies had like full on all in, writing things in the kernel and all this stuff, and I was definitely out of place. I was like fish out of water, but it gave me some confidence of like, okay, now I can ask some questions. I get to know these people,
Yeah.
and I can actually learn a little bit from them, even though and being humble, right? Be humble. But there are definitely meetups that are out there, and B sides for me has been huge in meeting people. The very first B sides that I attended was local, and I've still connected with people over and over again that through that even that very first one, and then it's expounded and gone from there. And the thing that the pro tip that I would say,
Ooh, okay, here we
yeah,
go.
here's
Pay
the pro
attention,
tip,
everybody.
yeah, is look for the volunteering. And I know we've talked about volunteering before,
Yes.
but whenever you volunteer, you're usually connecting with the people behind the scenes
Yep.
that are really wanting to help, which is what you want to do. And there's two ways to volunteer. You can just volunteer, show up, and be like, "Hey, tell me what to do," right? But you can volunteer with a purpose. Hey, I'm here to volunteer, but I'm here really to also meet and make relationships with these folks
Absolutely.
who might turn into friends or might turn into connections that can help me with a job down the road, right? And volunteering puts, when you meet people at a conference, usually it's like meet and done. You may never see them again. You may not remember their name, but when you volunteer, at least those core people who are probably the people that are most influential in the area, they're going to remember you because you came in and you helped them,
You helped them.
right?
Yeah.
You helped them. So from there, you're standing out above those others because you helped participate and you made their life easier.
Yep.
But go in there with an attitude of I'm here to help, number one, but I'm really here to meet and connect with people and really learn who they are and what they're about and where they work, right? People though, I know how people operate. They're like, hey, number one, I'm scared to go in person to talk to people. Number two, when I get there, I don't want to really talk to people. I'm here. Yep, John told me to come show up. I did it.
Uh,
But you gotta talk to people
you
and
do.
connect. Yeah.
No, so I agree. I mean, and so let me back up a little bit. Most of the time, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, if you are volunteering and you get accepted to volunteer, you may attend that conference or training or whatever for free or for a
Right.
very reduced price.
Right.
So that's another perk for volunteering your time, because you're basically getting to take part of
Absolutely.
this uh, um,
You're helping.
conference, whatever,
You get a free
and
T-shirt.
dude, and it's you're basically almost for free, if not for free. But
Yeah.
going back to what you were just saying about people just nowadays just not wanting to show up in person, it's like I get it. I mean, COVID came in, changed everything, turned the world upside down. I get it, but it's such a core part of building a successful um, career. Like
Mhm.
no matter where you end up, no matter if just the technical side is just where you want to focus and you don't even want to touch management, or if you want to go into management or whatever it may be, no matter what, it's going to benefit you tremendously to go out there, put yourself out there, attend these networking events, and just talk to people. You would be surprised how many people are there and are feeling the exact same way you are. They're about to
Mhm.
have a heart attack if somebody says hello to them. But just start slow. You know, you're there for a reason. You're there because you're interested in cybersecurity. You want to grow your career. You want to meet others that are in the same type of journey that you are. And, you could you could just make so many connections.
Mhm.
Make so many connections, make some long-lasting friendships, and just put yourself in a position where somebody will say, "Ooh, I need help. Oh, I remember John at that conference. I would
Mhm.
love to work with him, or I think he would be a great fit for this." Just put yourself in a position where somebody will remember you
Yeah. I
when that time
I
comes.
I think too, and a couple of things I thought about while you were saying that too. One is if there's not a conference in your area, wherever you are in the world, start one even further, right? And it doesn't have to be a big conference. It can just be like, or start a meetup. Hey, I'm opening it up, get it out there, post it wherever you can. I'm just looking for people to connect with in cybersecurity. I'm going to be here at this place at this time. Come join me. We're just going to chit chat, right? And that's how these B-sides conferences really started, is people getting together and just talking security. You
Yeah,
can do that anywhere, right? Now that takes a little bit more, but don't get stressed out, right? It is a way just to connect with others and to help others. Really, what you should be doing to network effectively. How can I help you on your journey? And then maybe you can help me on my journey, right?
yeah,
That's what you want to be looking for. The other thing about conferences that have speakers, you know, you see a speaker, great speaker, does his talk or her talk, and people rush up afterward to talk to them. Hey, I loved your talk. A lot of them are
hmm,
trying to connect and trying to maybe make a connection there. And there's ways to do that where it's not creepy or awkward or annoying, right?
yeah,
Number one, just literally genuinely thank them, right? Really actually thank them is always just like the way to start out of the gate,
yeah,
and then say, hey, is there a way you can ask them, how could I connect to follow your stuff going forward, right?
yeah,
Oh, you got a blog, you got a podcast, you got a whatever. Where do I go to follow you and find out more, right? And
yeah,
usually they
yeah,
put something on their slides at the end that says, "Follow me for more information," and
hmm,
you just
hmm,
do that thing, and then we'll talk about other ways to kind of connect to people through directly. But those conferences will have speakers that are putting themselves out there. That usually they're cool if you follow their stuff and you follow up on that following. So
yeah.
there's a couple of things I thought about.
Yeah, no, and you make a good point. And I think maybe maybe it came off as we were just focusing on the in-person stuff. But there are online conferences. Like
Yeah.
it's just fully online
Yeah.
where, there it's just like, through Zoom, through Teams, whatever it may be, and they're doing a presentation and then they list out their contact information like you just mentioned in like the last slide or whatever. What we're saying is take that contact information and actually take the step to reach out to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what we're talking about here. Like take the extra step, put yourself in a position where maybe you're a little uncomfortable reaching out, but if you truly did appreciate their presentation, that it should be pretty easy to say, hey, thank you, and maybe you list out one or two things that really stuck with you just to kind of like icebreaker or whatever it may be. But just making that initial connection, that
Right.
initial reach out, I mean, that right there is just the beginning.
Absolutely. So if you want, this is how well, let's move into connecting maybe through LinkedIn or
Okay.
directly. So since we're thinking about how to do
Yeah.
that direct connection, even virtually, basically, and connecting with a security practitioner. So say you wanted to connect with me or Steven, right?
Yeah.
And I get connection requests all the time. Most of them are salespeople, honestly.
Yeah. Horrible.
Which,
Just
yeah,
horrible.
yeah. I see you. I know
We're
they try to
broke.
trick. They try to trick me. They try
Yeah.
to like, oh, I love your stuff, and then I'm look at their title, and it's like marketing person. So, nah,
Oh, they're
sorry.
sneaky,
Yeah,
sneaky,
yeah.
sneaky.
But if you only get and you send your connection request, you only get 200 characters. Okay. What you need to do is show how you were interested in what we're doing, right? And a
Mm,
perfect example could be, hey, John, hey, Steve, I've been following your podcast.
mm-hmm.
I really enjoy it. I've been getting a lot out of it, and I would like to connect with you further just to get to know more and to connect, right?
Absolutely.
And that's going to be like, yeah, bro, yeah, let's do it.
Heck
Let's
yeah.
connect, right? Because then you're showing more of just a random, oh, I saw your name out there, and I hit the connect button, right? And that's what most of the ones I get are. I thought it would be great to add you to my network. Deny. What do you
Come
think?
on. Be more original. They probably just use the auto generated
Yeah,
connection
exactly.
thing on LinkedIn. Anyway,
Yeah,
no, I
yeah.
agree. I agree. I mean, I should have looked into this a little bit more. Maybe I'll bring this up in a future episode. I just don't want to say it because I don't think I remember it correctly, and I hate butchering this. But it tends to be around what you just mentioned about what to say or how to
Mm,
phrase things when you go and reach out to somebody. It's all about emotional intelligence
mm,
and like paying somebody a compliment that automatically makes them feel good,
yeah,
right? About
yeah.
this conversation about this individual, right? So,
Right.
like what you just said, hey, I've been listening to your podcast. I mean, right now, that to me, I'm like, oh, already, I like this person. I
Yeah.
like they're
Coming
listening to our
coming
podcast.
to the
I like him.
tribe.
I like
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, just being genuine about it too. Don't try to fake it, and
Right.
like be honest. But yeah,
Yep.
like reaching out to somebody. For I think another example I wanted to try was kind of what we just talked about earlier about if you're interested in a position in a company,
Mm,
right?
mhm.
So let's say again the whole Tesla situation. John works at Tesla. I may reach out to John, and I know I've done my little research, maybe stalking a little bit, and I see that John works in security and John holds a management position in security or just a SOC analyst position, maybe a position that I'm interested in. I would reach out and say, "Hey, John, um, I am, starting my career in cybersecurity, and I am a huge fan of Tesla and what they're doing,
Mhm.
and how they're just changing the automotive industry with whatever it may be. But I'm really interested in how you help protect Tesla and how you help protect the organization and all of those people that purchase those vehicles." At that point you're saying, yo man, you are saving Tesla right now. Like you
Right.
are the main person that's like keep holding it down at Tesla right now.
Right.
And I want to learn from you. I want to know what it is. How do you do it? How do you keep Tesla protected? And by reaching out to somebody and just a simple question, and maybe do share a little bit about you and your journey and kind of where you are. um, and talk to them about what's a day in the life of your
Mhm.
position, like, and just start the conversation. Really just start, and hopefully they reply back. If they don't reply back, don't get discouraged. I personally, I apologize if anybody reaches out to me on LinkedIn. I'll look at it a month later and I'll reply back then because I'm just not on LinkedIn all the time. But there's other online forums just like that that you can also utilize to contact people.
Yeah. Um, no, I think that's really good. You personalize the connection request, and then you don't be needy. That's the other thing. Don't be needy. Don't be desperate. You're just trying to build that relationship and asking for advice, asking for their journey, asking their story is the best ways, in my opinion, to get that connection. Number one, then when they do connect with you, hopefully, now you don't be annoying, but you're asking about how, I'm looking to get in this field. I'm looking to be in a SOC. I'm looking to be a
Yeah.
SOC analyst. What would you recommend somebody to focus on? Keep it
Yeah.
specific. It's just like we've talked about with mentorship, how to find a mentor.
Yeah.
Keep it specific, keep it direct, keep it brief, and thank them. And whatever
Yep.
they offer you, try to follow up on it. Oh, they
Yep.
recommended this book. Amazing. Go read the book. They recommended this channel, this YouTube, this podcast. They recommended our podcast. Go listen to it. But like literally take them up and do the thing that they offered, and then thank them. Tell them you did it, and then thank them. Man, that those things you do those things, that's going to make a connection, and they're going to see you as a person that is interested, is eager, is actually taking action. And, oh, maybe I'll connect more. Maybe I'll offer more things. Hey, you want to have a
Yeah.
chat, whatever. Don't try to make it too big. You're really just trying to start with a relationship that you're connecting with this person who could maybe be a future link in the chain to get you a job. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I would say too, say the SOC analyst thing, you want to be a SOC analyst. You think that's what you want to do. Well, connect with people that have been in that job for a while, maybe
Yeah.
SOC managers, right? You can go LinkedIn, search SOC managers, and you'll find thousands of SOC managers, or a senior SOC analyst, right? Because then they've been at least in the position you're interested in and moved up in some way,
Yeah.
and they could give you a little bit more advice potentially of how to. They've been there, they've done that, and now they've moved on. Sometimes that's useful, but anybody that is doing the job that you're interested in or hire is a good way to approach it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's kind of circles back to a comment you made in the last episode when we were talking about boot camps and really being careful about where you're getting your information from.
Mm,
You just don't know the true nature as of why certain people are promoting certain things.
yeah,
And are
yeah,
they actually good, or is that paycheck good, which
mm,
is the reason they're promoting it? So yeah, just be cautious.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, there's lots of LinkedIn is probably a big area, but
Yeah,
you know,
for like the IT
right?
world, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of cybersecurity. Most of my feed on LinkedIn is just cybersecurity, cybersecurity, cybersecurity because
Yeah,
of all the people that I follow. But it is the best social network, from in my opinion, to connect with people that are doing the job in cybersecurity that you could follow at least
yeah,
or try to connect to.
yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Awesome. So that's probably one thing I want to mention too, and we'll mention it again at the end. So what we want to do is we've got some. We're going to give you this as a checklist. We have a checklist of here's the things,
Yeah,
here's the checklist to go by to network with others. But one of those things with like LinkedIn and or emails is we're going to give you an easy template that you could go by, right? You want to
yes,
customize it to your thing. Don't just use the bullet points of the template, but it's a starting point. It gives you something to kick off, the starting point to change, but to make it your own, to send out. Here's a good way to start with a connection request, or here's a good way to
yes.
send an email to an individual, just to give you a way to get going. And we'll follow up at the end on how to do that, but we want to help you guys out.
Yep, absolutely. We're not just telling you what to do and then not giving you something to start with. So we're trying to do the full circle here.
Yeah.
Um, cool.
So the third one that we wanted to mention was just the online communities and forums that are out there. And fortunately, there are a ton.
There are,
There
there
are a
are.
ton. Yeah. Sometimes it's almost overwhelming of how many there are.
Yeah.
And for me, when I was getting interested in security, they're really the one place that I had. There was kind of the BBSs that were out there that were mostly not security that I knew about, but IRC was the place, and those were all these different channels. To me, that was like the way you would try to get into the right channel that had this topic that you could learn from people. Most of the time, it wasn't super helpful because people were just either annoying or just trying to kick you off of IRC to show how cool they are or whatever. But there were definitely some communities that were better than others. But now most of that kind of activity has shifted to Discord, right? And that's where
Mm,
you see a lot of conversations happen and a lot of communities that have been built really to help people get into cybersecurity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we've got our own, right,
We
that we're
do.
trying to build up.
It's young. It's young. We're growing. We're growing.
Yeah, yeah, we're learning. We're learning how to build and maintain a community. But it's starting to build some fire and get some good questions on there. But there are so many that what we can do is I was gonna part of the checklist is give you some good ones to check out, right?
Yeah.
There's a ton of them, and there's a lot of advice on there. There's a lot of links to things, which is cool. But really, I think what I see a lot of people use these are some channel will have a live stream and they'll get on there and they're chatting in the live stream, and it's a way to interact with people that are watching your live stream and also to build the community. Like, how do you build that community? Discord seems to be a good way to do that a lot of people
Hmm.
are utilizing. And the good part of that is you can start looking for other people to connect through Discord. So, they're already interested in what you're interested in. They're interested in cybersecurity. They are maybe even in the same, on that channel. They may have a channel finding a job as a whatever, and so you can go talk to those same people. And again, you're trying to connect. Hey, where are you in your journey? What have you got going on? What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? Right? And there's so many people to connect with across the world in these channels, right? And so you should take advantage of it. Is really the big
Yeah.
thing. It's an easy way to connect with cybersecurity people. It might not be a deep way because you don't really have many deep conversations on those channels, but it could turn into that. Like, for example, in the one that I'm in, they have a local meetup. So they'll have the big stuff and they'll say, "Oh, if you're in this area in this state for this community, again, meetups, here's a local meetup, but you wouldn't
Mhm.
have known about it unless you were on the Discord channel."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I think you. I think you're hopefully opening the eyes and the minds of people on what actually how much you can get done just simply on Discord, just that
mm-hmm,
one platform, and how much it's being used for a number of things. But cybersecurity is one of them, and it's pretty heavily used.
for sure.
Um, so definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah, in our Discord, folks are starting to ask questions and share their stories, which is awesome, right?
Yes.
So, how do I, if I'm in our Discord, for example, how do I connect with the community that we're building? Well, a lot of people are posting things, and this is what I see in most other Discord channels. They're just kind of posting to get something, right? Or, hey, does anybody have any advice for X, right? But mainly just being engaged, right? Oh, I
Yeah.
saw so and so posted something. Let me ask them more about that.
Yeah.
What's their perspective on it? Like, actually being engaged in the community in that Discord area is is the next step of just being a member and actually just kind of scrolling and waiting to something tips your interest that you might go click on or follow up on. So if I was actively looking for a job and I was using Discord to do that, and it helped me make network connections, really, I would be looking for people that are, again, kind of like LinkedIn, that are doing the jobs that I'm interested in and or
Yeah.
have some further along in their journey that I could ask for help on. Hey,
Yeah.
what do you recommend? And then when you see people that are maybe lower down than you are, not as far along as you are, giving back to those people, right?
Yes.
That's a huge part of it is being able to help somebody else. Oh, hey, I had the same problem. I had the same challenge. Here's what I did, or here was my advice for you to tackle that issue, right?
Yeah. Or even sharing a link to a YouTube video or
Yeah,
an article or something that they watched or read or saw that helped them. I mean, even that alone is a huge help, right? Because now not
absolutely.
only is that person who you're sending it to or sharing it for will see it, but many others will too. And there's always the case where a lot of people have the same question, but they may not feel ready to ask it or put themselves out there. But by you doing that and kind of sharing that in an open environment like Discord, you've answered not only one question, but potentially five, six, or seven other people who've had the same question.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean that counts a lot.
Yep, for sure. And and I think that's really my big point about these online communities. There's a lot of them that are focused on this that you should be engaged with. If you get engaged with too many, it gets a little overwhelming. So
Yeah,
maybe pick two or three that are around the topics that you're interested in or communities that you like, and just be more involved than just a, an observer, right? Try to be,
yeah,
especially if you're trying to get into the industry, be
yeah,
more involved and connect with others and help others as you can.
yeah.
Um, and I think it will help you. I think it might lead to other opportunities or that networking connection with others. To me, it's kind of, as far as like building relationships, it might be the lower end of how you actually build true relationships with others that you could
Right.
build from, but it's still a viable option that
Absolutely.
is a good option.
Absolutely. And even, if you become members of these groups, you know, some may argue you could put that in your resume.
Yeah.
You could put that in your resume and talk about it and talk about, one of the things I always like to ask someone who's entry level into cybersecurity who may have zero to no experience in the interview process. I ask, are you what are you doing to stay up to date with current events? Are you part of any groups? Are you involved in the cybersecurity community somehow, some way, shape, or form? And by mentioning these groups in your resume, you might be surprised. The person that may be interviewing you may also know of this community, may also know of this Discord, may be on there, or and you have no clue. And then that is now a talking point that now you have. And now that is a point on the positive for you because this person knows about this group. This person is active in this group. And by knowing that you're there, then that's kind of like, a conversation, maybe not a conversation starter, but something that kind of keeps the conversation going.
Yeah.
And they may look at you differently now and not just like one of the pile, but oh, this guy's in the same group that I'm in. Okay.
Yeah.
Boom. And at that point, you stand out.
Yeah. That's a good, that's a great point. Because when you say you'd use one of these other methods to connect, you could ask them, hey, what communities are you part of?
Yes.
What Discord channels or Discord servers do you recommend I join?
Yes.
Boom. Awesome. And by
Yeah.
the way, they're on there,
Yep.
potentially. That's a perfect lead up to kind of double down on both of those, to have the LinkedIn or the
Yep.
in-person meetup to the Discord, and combine. Don't just do one of these.
Yeah.
Try to combine all of these
Yep.
to multiply the effect of connecting and networking with others.
Absolutely.
So those are the big three that I came up with. Is there anything that stands out that we're missing that just comes to
So
mind?
recap those three.
Yeah. So the first one is in-person opportunities, right?
Absolutely.
If possible, meetups of some kind. It could be B-sides, it could be another security conference. If
Yeah.
there's not a conference, maybe you start a meetup. It doesn't have to be a full conference. Maybe it's just a meetup,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
in-person meetups of some sort,
Yeah.
those kind of things, right? The next one is using LinkedIn or email to connect with somebody that you're interested in a more direct fashion, right?
Yep.
Connect to them, send them a connect, but personalize that connection,
Yeah.
that you're not just another person sending them a connect request, right? And the third one is use these other online communities like Discord to be a part of, to make more connections.
I think you do a great job summing things up there. I think if our listeners take the next steps and do some of these, if not all of these, I think that will go ahead and just put them a step ahead of others who may not be doing this kind of stuff.
For sure.
Because it matters. It
It
matters,
does.
matters, matters.
If you're not doing this stuff and you're complaining about not landing an interview, then you're missing out. This is
Yes.
probably, and if you're doing it, Are you doing all of these things? How genuine is it? Right? That's what I would look at. Your resume is important. It is important. Your skills are important for sure. Don't stop building your skills, whether
No.
they're certifications or whatever.
Yeah.
But this is the thing that's going to put you above the stack.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I might have touched on this in the last episode when we were talking about boot camps. This exact thing is one of the things, one of the items that you have to meet to get that job guarantee.
Mm,
Like you have to go out and go to a number of conferences, do a number of meetups, like, and you have to come back and like show that you actually attended these
mm,
events, and you have to have connections, business cards, email conversation of you reaching out to somebody you met and saying, hey, it was really nice meeting you at X conference. Like these are the things that even these super expensive boot camps are having their people do when they get to the point where they're trying to get career coaching and career help, career assistance to find a job, because this is exactly what matters, right? Like
right.
you said, it's your skills matter, your resume matters, but it's you getting out there and meeting people and putting yourself out there that will kind of give you that leg up and will finish those last extra steps it takes to get you a job.
Yeah. And no matter where you are, I mean, I use this. I'm not trying to look for a job, but I'm always ABN, always be networking,
Yes,
always be networking. And I've had people be like, why are you doing that? Because you never know. You never know what's
absolutely.
going to happen. You never know if there's some huge opportunity that might be the game changer for your life, for your career that you would have never known about. And
Absolutely.
and even as a CISO, I'm going and hanging out with other CISOs and I'm asking them questions. CISOs that have been in the game for a lot longer than I have.
Yeah.
Hey, what would you recommend? What do you think? How
Yeah.
would I approach this? Like this is a thing that you never stop doing if you're smart.
No. Yeah.
Just
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know we are talking about in the sense of how to use networking to help you get a job, but networking in general is just super helpful. I mean, even now, like you put the time and the effort in to plant the seed and grow this relationship. And now you have other connections in cybersecurity. If you're in your organization and you're coming up with a challenge, with a difficulty, with an issue, now
mm-hmm.
you have somebody who's also in cybersecurity, potentially in the same role, who who could have been going through the same thing, and maybe they have found a solution. So you go and reach out to them because you've built that relationship, and you say, "Hey, John, over here at my organization, I'm having this security issue. Do you know anything about it? Have you guys faced the same thing? If you did, what solution did you come up with, or what would you recommend?" And
Absolutely.
I mean, that right there, just having those connections, building that community within cybersecurity is super, super helpful because we're all against the same bad guys. All
Mm-hmm.
right. They're all coming after all of us. It doesn't matter what industry you work in. They're all coming after us. So if we can
Yep.
build those communities and communicate between one another, I mean,
Yeah, and that's what
it's
we do.
game
That
changer.
this is what we do. This is just kind of what we do. And I think I take it for granted sometimes that I have a network of people that I connect with on a regular basis. So you should be doing it, especially even before you get in, but
Yes.
just be doing this. This is what you
Yes.
do, and it's going to help you multiply your options, multiply how effective you are. Like when I see something or we see something, I'll be hitting up somebody else and say, "Hey, have you seen this? Do you know about
Yes.
this? Have you guys been hit by this?"
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yep.
networking is a superpower that
Networking
you
is
should be
king.
doing. Yeah, networking is king. That I'm hopeful that we gave you some, the general why, but also some of this practical steps that you can take to do it today. Don't
Yes.
wait.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And we'll be sharing some stuff like John mentioned earlier, just some quick like guides on how to reach out to people and just kind of how to start it. But it's really going to come down to you. Just taking that first step. Getting out of your comfort zone and not just doing it once and being like, oh, I did it, I'm done. No,
Hmm.
continue, continue, continue.
Yeah. So if you'd like, we will send you the checklist. Here's a way to go about this, just to recap what we've done,
Yeah.
that you can have it in front of you, and we'll send you a template or templates that will say here's how you can start with that connection request or with that email or with that whatever message, just to get you started, just to get you
Yeah.
going. If you want to do that, we'll have the link in the notes, the show notes. We only have one link. This is it. Sometimes we have
That's it.
15 links, but one link that you can use to connect. Click on that, set, get added to the email, and we're going to send it to you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. It's a good episode. So I hope you guys enjoy
Yeah.
it, and hit us up in Discord.
Yeah. Our
Tell us what you
Discord.
think. Yeah, tell us what you think. If you like this, if you have more thoughts, and we've had a lot of people have other suggestions for topics, so we're always looking
Yep.
for other interesting topics. But go forth and network.
Yeah. Go forth and network. Network is king. Remember that.
Yeah, that's right. ABN, always be networking. All right.
Thanks,
Thanks,
John.
everybody. See ya.
See ya.